Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about starting your own company. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, I'm thinking about starting my own software company. How do I make this happen? Do you have any helpful tips? Well, I would say that the first thing you need to do is to find your corporate identity. And what I mean by that is that you need to figure out what is your value proposition, what is the thing that you want to promote about yourself and the company that you're starting. If you're a software developer, you should be looking towards those skills because after all you're trying to start a software development company. If you're not a software developer, I strongly urge you to partner up with a software developer that you can trust, because without them it's going to be very tough for you. Even if you have a small budget, or if you have a budget to hire somebody, you still don't really, that's a process in of itself to find the software developer. But if you have a software developer that is trustworthy and ideally fairly senior in the beginning of things, that's a very good thing for you. So that's the first thing, to figure out what is it that you are selling. What are you selling? Are you a consultancy? Are you a product company? What's your company about? The second thing that you need to do is to figure out how to run a business successfully. And this is something that is in no way exclusive to IT. I would even go as far as, I would honestly, I would go as far as to make a very clear cut between the things that you should be looking to the IT community to learn and the things that you should go to another community for. And when it comes to running a company, I don't think that you should. You can absolutely look at a few tips and tricks from the IT community, but primarily look at how business people runs a company. And it doesn't matter if it's an IT company or if it's a retailing business or whatever. There are many useful tricks that you can learn from people who simply run any type of company. There is a channel that I really enjoy, which is called Valuetainment, where I would say that I honest to God, I think that the videos that they make on how to start your own business and so forth, they are probably the best I've ever seen in that space. You will learn so much and get so many very mature and realistic tips on how to think about starting a business. And they, in many cases, they cut through a lot of the corporate bullshit, because oh, how we love corporate bullshit in sales and in middle management. Just fluff things that any idiot can figure out, and they're just words that people say to sound as if they know what they're saying. But when you talk to someone who really knows what it means to drive sales and how to set goals and really do that stuff, you hear that they can cut through that bullshit and just speak as a they can speak from experience instead of speaking from, I'm assuming, a script next to their computer. But so I would take a look at their videos to start off with. I mean, there are others, of course, that will teach you how to think about structuring goals and how to talk to customers and so forth, because that's going to be your first and biggest challenge most likely, and that is to find customers. And this is where this all ties into what your corporate identity is. You have to identify what type of customers you're after and structure yourself accordingly. Now, creating an example, a corporate website, would be a very first natural step for you. You need to position yourself in the marketplace so that people will take you seriously, and that means doing all the song and dance that practically all the companies are doing. And that first thing will be corporate website. And then you really have to ask yourself, what type of customers am I trying to angle this towards? If you're putting up a corporate website, it's very useful for you to invest into something that looks really nice. Either if you hire a designer, or if you can of course buy a template or something like that. Just something that draws people's attention so that they will actually contact you, and you take it from there. Once you have these things in place, you have to, as I was saying, ask yourself, what type of customers are you going to go after, and that ties into the corporate identity. I will tell you right now that as a small business owner, a small software company, it is you usually have one of two choices. Either you go very broad or you go specific. Ideally, you should have a few customers that consistently need work, or a few big customers. It's actually fairly straightforward for you to start as a one-person company and go in as a consultant at one of the larger firms and just do consultancy work as if even if you weren't aiming to start a software company. And ideally, that should give you enough revenue to start getting like perhaps your first hire or something like that. And in that space, the best thing for you is, of course, if you can find a partner, someone with a fair bit of seniority, if that's at all possible. But you can also go the route of hiring less experienced developers for a lower salary and put them on projects that are lower stake. I mean, you're gonna still have to work if you're the experienced developer and help them out and so forth. But I think that you kind of you I'm assuming here that you understand how much work it is to run your own company. But that is a very feasible strategy for you, and I will tell you right now that in software development, the easiest way is for most companies to get a steady revenue stream is to do consultancy work. And as I was saying, you can go specific and you can go broad. I will tell you that the broader you are, the better. Ideally, if you can find the competency, like if you have within your company or within yourself, the ability to work in the major front-end tools and the major back-end languages, and you need to know a fair bit of DevOps and operations, you're pretty much set. I will tell you then, if you're at that, if you have that level of competency within your company, you will basically be able to take on any customer who is willing to take a chance on a small consultancy, because you should also know that some of the bigger customers, you won't be able to fulfill their needs because they're looking for someone to take care of larger projects, and you have to think about this a little bit strategically. Take on projects that are feasible for you to deliver so that you get a steady customer base and a happy customer base, because it's no use to you to fail a bunch of projects and lose your customers. It's actually that's not good for you. You need to build it up, and before you know it, if you manage your business and you price your skills correctly, you will be able to afford to hire more and more people and build the company from there. So what I want you to take away from this is, number one, if you want to start your own software company, the first thing you should figure out is what is your corporate identity. What are you selling? Are you selling front-end skills? Are you selling back-end skills? Are you selling like solution types of things? Are you an ops person, etc., etc.? That's number one. Number two is to figure out how do you actually run a business successfully, because in the beginning of things, you are going to spend quite a lot of time trying to just find customers and learning how to talk to customers and price your services correctly. Valuetainment would be a very good place to start, but there are others that you can look into as well if you want to learn how to run a company. And once you've done that, you need to start looking at finding customers that you can approach. And here the real question is, what type of services are you going to provide to these customers? And usually the easiest thing to do is to become a consultant in either a larger company or take on like smaller projects for other companies. And here being a little you can be a specialist and take on very specific types of projects that limits you a little bit, but if you can find customers, that's still a very feasible thing to do. And the other thing is to go broad and take on more holistic things. Smaller companies usually really want you to take care of everything, and larger companies are looking for specific people to do certain tasks. And if you price everything correctly and you keep your customers happy, you go from smaller things up to bigger things, and now you can start hiring more people. And there you are. That's the first few tips I can give you on starting your own company. Have a great day.